Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a great intro.
Thank you, sir. What's going on? Matthew Page in the house, hanging out with your boy Preston, Fat Samurai Guy in the movie dojo. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to see you.
Yeah. We had the first time we met was at San Diego Comic-Con at the Kung Fu Extravaganza panel. And that was a blast, man. That was a blast. Look at that guy. Who is that guy in the left? Jesus Christ.
That was so much fun. That was so much fun. That was one of those things when we were invited. If you've ever spent any time on the festival circuit or working on independent films, you think like, okay, we're going to a big event, but is anybody going to show up to our panel? Like, is anyone going to know our movie? Is anybody going to know who we are or what we're doing?
Yeah.
And the actors have a group thread, the cast of the Paper Tigers, and we were kind of like, is this gonna be us and 10 people in the room or what? And like, gosh, the reception at Comic-Con was so huge. People knew the movie. They were excited about the movie. They were excited about us being there. It was such an incredible experience.
Yeah, I'm so happy for all of you because y'all know I love the movie. That's right. I represent Paper Tigers, baby. I love this movie. It was just perfect. And it was such a huge honor to interview you guys. The director Bao Tran, Ron Yuan, the Marshall Club guys, and yourself. I had fun talking to you guys, and it was great talking about the movie and stuff like that. But we brought it back, baby. We brought Kung Fu Extravaganza panel back.
That was great
that year, because the year before was we had to do it online only because right.
That was the first big year back in person,
you brought it back hard, man.
The
crowd loved it.
And I wasn't familiar. I'd never been to the big Comic-Con in San Diego, and I also I was really excited about the format of the Kung Fu Extravaganza, like all these incredible clips of famous kung fu movies. There was such great content. It's so exciting to be around. I love movies. I love martial arts, and when you get to combine them. Meeting other people who are as excited about the genre and everything as you are is always so much fun.
Oh yeah. And it's always amazing seeing the audience reactions to the fights, and it's always it's all worth it. It's priceless, whether it's laughter or they're cheering or screaming. That's what it's all about. And last year it was even bigger and better last year, the Kung Fu Extravaganza panel. Shout out to Rick Myers and Frank Jang. But yeah, man, love talking to you guys about look at the tricep.
Man,
look at the sep. Do you guys watching right now? Do you guys see the sep?
I think I had 7 weeks from the moment I was on my way back from a Master Ken live appearance, and I was changing planes in an airport, and Bao called me, which surprised me because I had interviewed for that role like a year and a half earlier, and I didn't hear anything, and I was like, well, I guess I didn't get that part. And then he called me while I was changing planes in Denver or someplace, and was like, hey, we're greenlit, we start shooting in 7 weeks, do you want the role? And I was like, of course. But I was also like, oh my god, I have 7 weeks to get in shape, because I was not feeling like, I was traveling a lot, I was eating junk food and stuff, and I was like, oh, I need to look my best, and I have 7 weeks to do it. So I immediately was like putting down the French fries, getting up and running every morning, trying to be like, okay, I got to be camera ready here. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you go. We got fans watching right now. Release the sep cut.
There's so much sep that was cut out, you wouldn't believe it.
There's too much sep. That's right.
It was too much. I didn't want to overshadow the inferior seps, you know what I mean? So
there we go. Us. There you go. We got fans showing up right now. There we go. Filmmaker, martial artist, stuntman Colin Squire watching. What's going on, Colin? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, that's right. And finally, Red Eclipse has come back to the Movie Dojo Army. Always remember to restop that groin.
That's right. Always remember. Always remember.
That's right, baby. I mean, that character is just legendary. It's so good. Did you have an idea that the Master Ken character was going to get that big?
I absolutely didn't. In fact, that's why even now our channel is still called Enter the Dojo Show, which a lot of people don't even know what that is. That was the original format of that brought Master Ken to life, was this little mini sitcom about what it would, what it's like in an American McDojo kind of thing, with not just crazy Master Ken, but some sort of stereotypical, the psycho, overly dedicated brown belt character, the sort of really hyper aggressive female character, the really mousy, shy character, the really skeptical orange belt. It was a window into the world of American martial arts, and I love the reception that got. And then I really just ended up having to make more videos featuring Master Ken by himself, because it became harder and harder to get the cast and crew together. And there was a demand for more content. So I said, okay, well, maybe if I just go into the dojo by myself and I'll just goof off and make little short videos. And then those videos got even more views. And then Master Ken kind of took on a life of his own. Yeah. That I still can't believe that people are excited about him, that they still want to see him. We just literally last week, we passed the 1 million subscriber mark on YouTube.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Congratulations, brother. Congrats.
Blows my mind. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. It'll take a few weeks for them to ship us our gold play button, but that's something that I really never thought would ever happen. So every year that Master Ken continues to endure and entertain audiences, I'm amazed and grateful for every year, because I really didn't think it would last this long.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, again, congrats, but it's just, if you ever having everybody watching right now, if you're having a bad day, watch any Master Ken video. You will smile, you will laugh, you will share the video, it will go viral, you will tell your friends, because it's just so much fun. It's just so
that's
much
always
fun.
Our goal is to I was just talking to a recent acquaintance, a friend of mine who does some kickboxing, and she's from a karate background, and she said, when you were doing the Enter the Dojo show, she said one of our favorite things at my karate school to do was we would finish all of our training, and then we would just sit down as a group and watch the show and just have a laugh. And I love hearing that. I love that people still enjoy watching the videos and the episodes. And I've been telling people for years that as long as people keep watching, I'll keep producing them. I love doing it.
Well, you're going to be producing them for a long time, my friend. And Samurai Guy's going to be watching. I'm going to be learning some moves. That's right. I'm going to be learning some moves. But we are here today. That's right. To talk about cop versus killer, baby. That's right. But before we get to that, you have been in a lot of awesome projects. Yeah, I'm going to bring some of these projects up, film projects and series and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh man, I gotta ask Matt about some of these projects and your experiences filming them. But before we get into that, we will return right after this quick commercial break.
Ready? Master Ken here, letting you know that Ameridote belt certificates are back. You can start off by demoting your instructor or students to white belt. You can promote someone to orange belt, blue belt, purple belt, green belt, brown belt, or promote them directly to black belt if their kill face is unstoppable. Get your Ameridote belt certificate today, and remember, always re-stomp that groin. That's great.
Yeah, baby. You get all kind of surprises on Samurai Guy show.
I didn't know you were going to do it. That's awesome.
That's right. And I did receive my check in the mail. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I appreciate
your percentage is on
the way. Oh my goodness. But yeah, don't forget, guys, link is in the description. That's right. Get your certificates. Have some fun there. All right. Okay, but yeah, up first, we're going to be all over the place here.
Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
Waco here. Talk about your experience with this one. I mean, you got the legend there, Michael Shannon.
That was so fun. That was such a great. Let's see. That was filmed out in Moriarty, which is about 40 minutes east of Albuquerque. they built an exact replica of the compound, of the Branch Davidian compound. So like when we were, so like when we would like I played I think it was an ATF agent. I think it was an ATF agent. And so we're like holed up in this old cabin right across the street from the Branch Davidian compound. And it was so surreal because I'm old enough that I was a kid, but I remember my mother watching the news during the standoff. So like I knew what that building looked like from when that whole thing happened. So to see an exact replica of it built across the street from where we were filming, I was like, wow, this is like being in a time machine. And that was a really great experience. The people who ran the show were great crew, great actors. Got to spend some time with John Leguizamo.
Nice.
Who's a real character. He was a lot of fun to work with. Everybody was fun to work with. That was a fun role. That was really just us out in the in the middle of nowhere, doing our role, our small but important role in this big expansive story. It was really great.
And this is still a Showtime exclusive, or it's still on
that
Showtime?
Is I think you can see that on I think when we did it was a Paramount. What is it, Paramount Plus? I think it started on Paramount Plus, and I think it's gone through a few others, and they did a follow-up. I'm not in the follow-up, but they did an additional follow-up, like a sequel or like a continuation of the series recently.
Oh, wow.
So I think you can find that somewhere too. So yeah.
Nice.
I wasn't surprised because, of course, like you said, Michael Shannon, a powerhouse actor, who, just so brilliant. But everybody involved in that was so good. It was really a great gig.
Yeah, Shannon is just insane. Like, he's just so good. There is a storm a-coming. He's just too good. He's just too good. Now, I've been wanting to see this for a long time. I've heard great things about Shot Caller.
Oh, Shot Caller. That was so fun. That was a great gig. That was a movie where the director had actually, like, I can't remember if they put it in the script or if I read a blurb about the fact that he had actually worked some sort of situation where he was able to spend time personally, not for, as far as I understand, not for a crime, but he was able to spend time in a federal prison with other
inmates.
Inmates.
Wow.
Because he wanted the thing to be as authentic as possible. He wanted to understand the way they lived, the way they spoke, the way they survived, all those things. And the script was really great. That was a really fun gig as well. And being able to be in a scene with Jamie Lannister, was
you beat me to
surreal.
Yeah,
totally surreal, because I was already such a fan. So being able to have a couple scenes with him was.
I kind of feel he's an underrated actor.
He's fantastic. Like working with him and watching him work was really fantastic. And honestly, I didn't realize how big he was. He's a big dude. He's tall. He's like, he's a formidable physical force on set. So that was a really fun gig.
Did you see his film last year that came out? It was what was it? God, something God and Bullet was in the title. Some kind of thriller.
No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to watch it.
Okay, yeah. That looked really good. He was like a father. He's trying to find his daughter or something because she got kidnapped.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. No, I'll have to look that up. I would love to see it. I love his work.
Bullet, I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
But boom, good cop.
That was fun. That was a short film that ended up going to a bunch of festivals. That was really fun. That was done locally here. A guy named Keegan Carnes did that film. He's a great director and producer who is based here in Albuquerque. He does a bunch of high level commercial stuff. He's really great. It was a great. This gentleman named Sheridan was the cinematographer. They actually just did a film. I'm going to struggle to remember the name. They have a feature film. I want to say it's got brother in the title. I'm going to kick myself for not. I need a laptop here so I can look stuff up as I'm talking about it. It's got Who's the guy who plays who runs the newspaper in the Spider-Man movies?
Jonah Jameson, yeah.
Yeah, who plays Jonah Jameson in the Tobey Maguire ones?
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
Of
Now
course.
it's my turn.
Yeah.
Chat, help us out here. Jonah Jameson, the actor that plays Jonah Jameson. Whiplash. All the movies are coming in my head.
What is it? Like, he's very famous.
Yes. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Hey,
Yes.
Woo.
J.K. Simmons. Keegan and Sheridan just did a movie with J.K. Simmons. And I know that they've screened it. I know they've won a bunch of festival awards. They're a really dynamic filmmaking duo.
Yeah.
I want to say the film's called Little Brother, but I'll have to look it up. Okay. But if you look at J.K. Simmons' IMDb, I'm sure it's on there. But yes, the same filmmaking team as Good Cop, and it was super fun short film to work on.
Nice. Copy that. It's all about the face on the right. Like it's all about the face.
It's a good moment. It's a good moment. It captures
when did you figure out that you were really good at comedy? Was it something it was just natural, or you were like, hey, I'm good at this?
That's a good question, because I had actually I had done some theater, and I had done some acting classes, some improv, some scene study. And I always enjoyed comedy, but I was trying to follow the filmmaking route. I wanted to be a writer director. I loved learning about how movies were made, and I always really enjoyed being behind the camera. I thought that process was so fulfilling, very challenging, but really fulfilling. And so I had read that a lot of famous filmmakers whose work I loved got started doing horror movies, doing scary genre pictures. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. And so I did a bunch of short films that were in that genre. And they did okay. They would get into some B and C level film festivals, but never the A-list ones. And then, just for a change, the group that I was with, that I was making films with here in New Mexico, just to do something different, I decided to do a comedy. And so we did this, we did a thing called the 48-hour film project, where I don't know if you're familiar with this, where you have you make a team, you show up on Friday night with your team, and you are assigned a genre, a required character, a required prop, and a required line of dialogue that you have to incorporate into your movie. This is to keep people from writing the movie ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
And so once you're given those things, you're assigned a genre, and you now have from Friday night until Sunday night to write, direct, shoot, edit, and deliver a short film.
Wow.
And so I just did a comedy. I did a little romantic comedy, because I thought, we've been doing horror a lot, and I just feel like I should change it up. And we did comedy, and we won the whole thing. We won a bunch of awards, including best film, and ended up going to an international competition. And then I did it. So I thought, well, maybe that was a fluke. But then I decided to do another comedic short film, and that one went to a bunch of film festivals. And then that was when I was starting to get the feeling of like, maybe I have a knack for comedy. Maybe I'm a bit better suited for comedy. So I started to lean into that, seeing that whenever I chose comedy as a genre, I got more of a response. So I thought, maybe that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely your thing. And we're glad you went comedy, but I could see the love also for action in you and martial arts, obviously.
Yes.
But I have to ask this. In the future, would you return to horror, but maybe make it an action horror comedy film?
Absolutely. I love cross-genre pictures. I love genre pictures in general, because I think it's great when people do their own thing, or they do like a really powerful drama, or they do they try to reinvent a particular genre. But the thing that I really love about genre pictures is that there are guidelines, there are parameters, there are things that, as long as you give the audience these certain things, they are there for you. They're like, this is what I want to see. I love, if it's an action movie, if it's a martial arts action movie, then there are conventions of the genre,
right?
That as long as you deliver those conventions of the genre, the audience will go along with you if you want to try something a little unusual, a little different, a little surprising. And so I love movies that are really creative within an existing format. And so I'm always super interested whenever I sit down to watch an action movie or specifically because there's, as you know, there's all these subgenres, and like they all kind of have rules within those genres. And so I'm always excited when I sit down to a genre picture to be like, okay, how is this going to deliver what I expect? And how is this also going to surprise me? And so as a filmmaker, I'm really, really interested in doing that also. And that was, with my feature debut with Cop versus Killer, that was the goal, and also the biggest fear was like, am I going to be able to deliver enough of what people are expecting while also hopefully subverting expectations a little bit?
Right. Yeah. Well, after I watched Cop versus Killer, the first thing I said was, "Oh, I can't wait to see what he does next." So you're on the right track, my friend. You're on the right track. But yeah, let's look at some other ones here. I did see this one. This was a pretty decent, pretty good thriller drama here.
Yeah, that was that's another one. These are great memories for me because even though it's funny how even if you only work on a movie for one day, the experience of working on a movie, especially if you love movies, is so impactful that you remember it forever. That particular movie, what I remember is that I had a very simple role. I was playing the husband of a bigger character, and we find out something tragic has happened in that movie, and we rush over to comfort Ed Harris's character, who has just received horrible news, and we needed to help facilitate the weight of that moment. That was our only role that day. Was something awful has happened. We all need to be emotionally in that space. And the director helped talk us through that. And we did the scene with Ed Harris. And what I remember is that I felt like the scene went well, but I was also very nervous. And we did a few takes. We got everything that we needed. And then after the sort of emotional peak of that moment, they cut, and I felt these hands on my shoulders, and I turned around, and it was Ed Harris, like literally giving me a physical pat on the back for doing, for how we did the scene. And I was like,
wow.
I was so relieved, because if you're in the company of a literal acting, film legend,
exactly.
all I want to do is be helpful. Like, how can I just not be in the way? How can I do whatever I need to do to help him do what he needs to do? And so for him to have done that very simple thing for me, I just always remembered that, thinking like, okay, thank God I wasn't in the way. I at least did my job.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I never heard any bad things about Ed Harris.
Yeah, working on, I've only gotten to do one day on set with him, but it was such a memorable experience.
Copy that. How cool is that, man? Great stories here in the podcast tonight. Great stories.
There's been enough years that I have a small stack of them. I've been in this business long enough now. I got to handle them.
Yeah, for sure. We have Lone Survivor here.
Of course, you're gonna bring that one up. Hey, I'm not in it, but I worked on it. I worked on it. Here's the thing. No, I got a story about that. My buddy, great actor, Justin Tade. Justin Tade played the mayor in Cop versus Killer, and Justin and I worked together for the first time on Lone Survivor. There was a military headquarters scene where we are the command center. We're trying to find out where our soldiers are, because we got to send the rescue helicopter, and the rescue, and at some point, one aspect of the rescue mission fails, and we have to tell the commanding officer. It's this very tense, very important scene. And so Justin and I, we shot all day with Peter Berg, the director.
Yeah.
Very intense director, but very keyed up, very serious about what he does. High energy. It felt like the most intense 14-hour day maybe ever on set, as far as just the pace. And so we go to see the movie. We go to the premiere. We're sitting there, and we're like, we're watching the plot progress, and we're like, hey, we're up next. Here we go. This is it. This is the bit. And even in fact, I had kind of a moment where I stand up and I address the commanding officer, and the camera's right up in my face, and Peter Berg says, cut, and he goes, trailer. That's going in the trailer. That's the Black Hawk Down moment, man. That's going in the trailer. And I was like, yeah, it is. And me and Justin are sitting there watching the movie, and the scene right before our scene wraps up, and we're like, here we go. And then the movie jumps to the scene right after our scene, and we're like,
it's in the trailer. It stayed in the trailer.
We're like, I don't think we're in the movie. And it was like halfway through too. So we kept thinking, well, maybe they reordered the scenes or something. And then like the movie progresses and progresses. We're like, we are not in this movie.
No. Were you at least in the trailer?
We're in the credits.
Were you at least in the trailer?
We did not make the trailer.
Oh.
We did not make the movie. Our names are in the credits, which is lovely, but that's it, you know. It happens. It happens.
Goodness. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Missed opportunity, Mr. Berg.
You know, we'll work. We'll circle back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be a funny story that me and Peter can joke about when we're on a big movie together.
I still feel like this is his best movie.
It's a great film. I really, but even some of his, he's done a lot of really serious films with Mark Wahlberg that are really great. But I also remember him doing, didn't he do The Rundown with? The Rock. Right, he did The Rundown with Dwayne Johnson.
Underrated action movie.
Yeah, really great, fun, action-packed movie. Christopher Walken plays a great villain in that. Like, he's got a really great. I love his work as a director. He's got such an incredible body of work.
You get the Arnold Schwarzenegger cameo, basically passing the torch to The Rock. Basically.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But now we're back to horror here. Horror talk.
Okay, what do you? Oh, 14 cameras. That's another funny one. As far as like what that was, that was co-directed by a gentleman named Seth Fuller, who is the cinematographer on Cop versus Killer.
All right.
Seth and I did one of our own. We did a 48-hour movie. Actually, they have a subgenre one for horror movies. We did a 48-hour horror film festival, and that was the last one we did. The last one I did, and it seemed a fitting end because I did the romantic comedy years before, won a bunch of awards. Then I did a bunch of 48 hours that didn't really win very much. And I was kind of, I don't know, I kind of felt like I had peaked. And then me and Seth did a horror one, and we won a bunch of awards with that one. And I was like, okay, now's the time to stop. I won a bunch of awards. I'm going to stop doing 48-hour movies because I want to finish strong. But Seth was making 14 Cameras, which is a sequel to 13 Cameras.
Right.
And he asked me to do a role as a police officer. So I came out there for one day, and he and I had a blast working together. And we were always talking about what a great time we had working on that 48-hour project and wishing we could do something bigger. So when I had some financing lined up for Cop versus Killer, I called Seth and said, hey, I think this is the one we're supposed to work together on. It's a similar genre. It's a similar visual style to the short that we did. This is something I want to explore. And he said, okay, what's the budget? And I was like, and the cool thing is, like, the script is really tight, and I think we've got a good cast. And he's like, cool, what's the budget? And I said, the other thing is I think the locations that we're picking are really interesting. And he was like, what's the budget? And I told him, and he said, Matt, I just swore off micro budget. Like, I just said I wasn't going to do any more movies under a certain amount of money. And right. I was like, I know, but we gotta work together on this. Right. And so we negotiated, and I eventually convinced him to do the movie, and was so glad because he did an incredible job shooting it.
Nice. Copy that. Yeah, I know this is a series of films. Did they remake this recently?
I don't know if they've rebooted it yet. I know that
Okay.
that the first one was a big hit, and I think the second one, I think 14 Cameras performed pretty well.
Okay.
In addition to that, I don't know how many they've done, but yeah, I was kind of excited when he called me and told me he had a role for me in it, because I had heard of 13 Cameras being quite a hit, and I said, "You're directing the sequel to 13 Cameras? That's huge! Oh my God!" So that was a big career moment. You know, I felt like that was fun.
Well, what's some of your favorite horror movies?
Oh gosh. You know, I mean, I love Sam Raimi's stuff, and you know, obviously the Evil Deads are really classic, but even some of his thriller stuff, like a Simple Plan.
Yeah.
You know, I love it when he has like a bit more of a restrained kind of approach to his style. But then I also love Drag Me to Hell. Like Drag Me to Hell is like, I watch that at least once a year just because it's so fun and outrageous, and that stuff is really great. I love the classics like The Exorcist, Friedkin. I actually had just saw for the first time Sorcerer.
Woo!
What an incredible.
Dude.
That blew me away. It blew me away. People have been telling me for years that I needed to see that. And there's a theater called the Guild, this wonderful art house theater in Nob Hill in Albuquerque. And I saw they were playing The Sorcerer, and I was like, I gotta see this. This is finally. And I even told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, we're gonna go see this movie. It's old and it might be slow, but it's an important film and we should see it. And so we went to see this. And we were both just blown away with the acting, with the storytelling, the cinematography. It was such an incredible film.
You just don't have movies like that now
No,
anymore.
you can't make movies like that. Like, you can't get finance for something like that, where you're driving like these broken down trucks through the jungle, through the rainforest and mud, and like, you know, tipping them over into rivers and things like that. Like, you can't do stuff like that. Like, it was such brave filmmaking and such masterful storytelling. I was so blown away by that film. But so like stuff like Friedkin, stuff like Raimi, and then the more modern guys, you know, Ty West. You know, when I saw House of the Devil,
he came back hard recently.
He is incredible.
X and Pearl.
Yes,
it seemed like he took a break for a while.
I still need to see Pearl, but I went to see X because I'm such a fan of his.
Yeah, he's great.
And ever since I saw House of the Devil, I was like, this guy is going to be one of the guys. Like, he is going to be the new face of horror. And the group that he basically did that. See, now you get me. I love this genre stuff so much. But like, when he did the VHS compilation, the anthology, where each director had a little thread of the story and did their own short, and it all tied together through the VHS tapes. VHS 1 and VHS 2 were fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then the gentleman who did The Guest, he just did he did Godzilla versus Kong. Adam Wingard, who I got to work with on The Guest. And I was so geeked out because I knew his work. And so like when I got cast in a small role on The Guest, which is one of my it's now one of my favorite horror films, not because I worked on it, but because I just love his style.
Underrated.
Wildly underrated. Like just the tone of that movie, what he does with color, what he does with the music, the number of times he just makes you sit and watch an actor and plays some meditative level, like synthwave kind of music, and he creates this uneasy feeling, but you're compelled by it. Like, there's not a bunch of jump cut editing. He's just making you sit there and watch the movie. And I'm like, God, this is so brilliant. There's so many inspirations, you know, whether it's like, obviously the icons like Raimi, like Friedkin, like John Carpenter, or if it's the new guys, you know, if it's like Wingard, if it's Ty West, all those, I'm constantly inspired by that genre, and I love all that stuff.
Well, don't forget about Maxine. Maxine, I think, is this year, I think.
Yes, right. That's the next follow-up, right? That's going to be the 80s themed one.
Yep.
As soon as I saw the poster, I was like, I love that they've got this whole world, this whole cinematic universe they're building around this one character. Like, this is so cool.
I even thought Innkeepers was fun.
Innkeepers was fun. It was really fun. Like all of Ty's stuff is like, like no matter what he chooses to do,
Mm-hmm.
I always look forward to his style. You know, he's got a great style as a filmmaker.
I even enjoyed his Western he did with Ethan Hawke. Did you see that?
And Travolta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In a Valley of Violence or something like that.
Right.
That was good.
Which I was so crushed that I didn't get on that, because when I saw that Ty West was shooting a Western out here, I was like, oh God, I got to get on this one. I couldn't get a role on it. I was so bummed.
Fan of certain Westerns. Do you have a top 5?
Okay, top 5 Westerns. Tombstone is already right.
Of course.
At the top. Tombstone is like the best. It is the most amazing thing ever. You know, and honestly, it's like I've watched some old Westerns, you know, some of that, what is it, John Huston and stuff like that. Like I've seen some of those, but my introduction to the Western genre was the more contemporary Westerns. So, Tombstone, Unforgiven,
Nice.
Silverado, with Kevin Costner and Kevin Kline and Jeff Goldblum, like such incredible actors. Let's see what other ones. I definitely love. And it's a silly one. It's like it's technically a Western, but it's like the Three Amigos. I mean, that's
my movie, man. That's my movie.
Yeah,
I bugged the hell out of my dad to rent that so many times.
Yep.
when I was young, man.
And honestly, even in the more recent, like Open Range. Kevin Costner. Dances with Wolves, Open Range, like his approach to the Western genre, which he's, of course, really undoubtedly is one of the icons of that genre. But Open Range in particular is such a brilliant film, and so beautifully directed, so beautifully acted. There's so many. Yeah. I really love that genre, and I always get excited when it does get a bit of every 10 years or so. It seems like Hollywood just decides to get together and just make a cluster of Westerns. We get a bunch of them, and then they go away again, and then 10 years passes, and then we get some more. So I love it when they do that.
Yeah, there's tons. There's so many out there. Yeah, they keep making them. And we'll keep watching them if they're good, for sure. Yeah. Quigley Down Under. Quigley Down Under. You seen that one? Yeah, that's a fun one.
Come on now.
Alan Rickman. Yeah, for sure.
Alan Rickman. Yeah.
How about, before we keep going, how about action and martial arts movies? Do you have any favorites?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, so the ones that were the most important to me when I was younger, I would say Bloodsport is still probably one of the most influential movies as far as me even being made aware of martial arts, that there were different styles of martial arts. And seeing Jean-Claude Van Damme as a performer do all the incredible things that he was doing, and introducing me into that genre, and then going up through, Kickboxer and things like that. And then, some of the offshoots of that, movies like The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman.
Yeah.
Really influential film at the time, really the only film that has ever depicted the art of Kempo in movies.
Yeah.
Like that art almost hasn't been shown cinematically. Yeah. And that was such a successful portrayal of it. Same director as Kickboxer, actually, Mark DeSalle. And then, the early Seagal stuff. When Seagal was new on the scene.
First 5.
Like, what's that?
The first 5.
The first 5. Yeah, pretty much up to Under Siege, And even though people make fun of it a lot, even though it's a good, bad movie, Under Siege 2 is wildly entertaining, in my opinion.
Oh, it's fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I I'll watch, but the original ones when he did Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Out for Justice,
man. Out
for Justice is probably his best film. I think I usually tell people I feel like Out for Justice is his best film as an actor.
Yeah,
because he actually really he has some real moments in that film where you watch and you go, he's an emotionally accessible performer. Like there are some things he does in that movie where you go, all right. Yeah. That's some real acting actually, and
William Forsythe played a great villain.
Yeah. William Forsythe is an incredible bad guy in that movie. He plays a great villain. Dan Inosanto
Oh yeah.
Playing the Sticks character,
Sticks.
having that incredible
Get him,
stick fight
Sticks.
in the yeah. I love that they just had a guy who was a stick fighting expert just kind of hanging out in that bar in case anybody ever had to be in a stick fight.
That's what it's all about.
Weird place
Love
to
it.
have, like a bar in Brooklyn has like, you know, the world's scariest stick fighter apparently. But yeah, all of those films really, really influential to me. You know, I loved big action films of that genre that were much more mainstream, like Commando with Schwarzenegger, like Die Hard with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
But the ones that I was the most interested in, that I watched the most times, were the martial arts action movies, the American martial arts genre in the late 80s, early 90s.
Best
and
of the best.
Even some of the more obscure ones, Thomas Ian Griffith in Excessive Force, you know,
that was
like
great.
That. Yeah, that's a great movie. And then seeing him pop up in other genre pieces like John Carpenter's Vampires, playing the villain. Yeah. There's so many good examples of the martial arts genre of action, and then crossovers like that I just love.
Yeah, this is it's so good. There's so much out there. So much
out
there for sure. Breaking Bad, what?
Okay, so here's the thing. I am in You Will See Me. It's one of those don't blink, because I'm it's pretty quick. There's an episode in season 1 where Heisenberg has to go and get an unusual amount of chemicals in order to make a big batch of drugs. So they have to break into this chemical plant.
Yeah.
There's a security guard that they lock in a porta potty. That's me.
There you go.
That's it. I think I say like 2 things. I think I like knock on the door and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" or something like that. It was
did you show some sep?
I didn't, because I didn't know. None of us knew what we were working on. Like, we didn't know that we were working on a show that was going to become arguably the best television show in history. Like it was brand new. Yeah. And so for me, it was just another day of work. But then it ended up becoming, you know, this incredible iconic thing.
Have you watched a Better Call Saul? Some people say it's better.
It's a fantastic show.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends have gotten to work on that. That's another really great thing, is that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have been able to, they hired a lot of locals in Albuquerque from the local Albuquerque film industry.
Nice.
And were able to get just years and years and years of top quality work on really important, well done shows. And that's really been great for the film community here in Albuquerque.
Did you enjoy Nobody?
I haven't seen it. I've been I know that's been recommended to me multiple times. I'm gonna add it to the list. I've heard it's great.
That's it. You're watching it tonight. That's it.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it, man. You'll get a kick out of it for sure. It's right up our alley, man. It's right.
Okay, all right.
This next one here, this fantasy horror flick,
Odd Thomas.
Odd Thomas, and Rest in Power, Anton Yelchin.
Yep,
I enjoyed this. This was fun.
That was a great gig. I was so excited about that because Stephen Sommers, who of course directed The Mummy and The Mummy Returns and G.I. Joe and Van Helsing.
Deep Rising.
Yes, Deep Rising. Yeah, with Treat Williams. Like that. Yeah. Like he had directed a bunch of movies that I loved, and so when I got a gig on that, I was so excited. And he had me. He told me, I think it was another one where I think I had maybe 6 weeks of prep, and he was like, "Hey man, I want you lifting weights. I want you to be much as like," he said, "You're already a big guy. I want you to be as big as you can, because I want you to really tower over Anton. When you've got your fight scene with him, I want you to look much bigger than him." So I was like, okay. So I'm like eating 6-8 times a day, lifting heavy weights, trying to be as big as I can by the time they came around. And that was an absolute blast. And that was also when I learned that not all stunts are on like harnesses and stuff. I thought, whenever I saw anybody do anything dangerous in a movie, I was like, well, but they're all on wires and everything. We did a lot of stunt work, a lot of chase scenes, a lot of fight scenes, a lot of busting through doors and jumping over stuff like that. And I was like, oh no, some of this stuff you actually just have to do. You just have to do it. Like, it actually is, some of it you have to like kind of do it for real. And it was really fun. I got to work with a fantastic stunt coordinator, Al Goto, on that. That was where I met Al, and he did a great job coordinating all of that. And he later on was one of the connections that got me connected with Paper Tigers years later.
Nice.
And that was where that started. But yeah, it was a pleasure working with Anton. It was a pleasure working with Steven Summers. That was a really fun gig.
Nice. Copy that, man.
I remember having to kick a door in on that one. I remember this one thing. I had to kick a door in, and it was a balsa wood door. And I'd never kicked a fake door. So I asked the prop guy, I was like, so how hard do I hit this? And he's like, well, you know, it's balsa wood. So it's like, it's going to come apart. And then he turned around, and then he stopped and turned back around. He's like, but don't hit it too lightly or you'll look like a pussy. And I was like, oh, okay. so I was like, I'm just going to hit it as hard as I can. That thing disintegrated. Like it was like, it turned to dust. I hit it so hard because I was like, well, I don't want to look like a pussy. So I got a running start, and I just blasted through that door, and the whole thing was like down to the size of toothpicks. Cause I was like, okay, all right. I broke the door correctly.
Nice. Copy that. It's fun. It was
so fun. Getting able to breakaway props are so fun. Like getting to bust through doors and break glass and all that other stuff. That is always, anytime you get to do that, is a fun day.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot there with old Billy Bob Thornton there.
That was super fun. That was such a blast. That was, let's see, that was one of those movies where I got to improvise a lot, and I didn't know how much of it they would use, but one of the scenes that made it, they were doing interviews with soldiers. You know, Tina Fey plays a war reporter, and so they just threw questions at us with no prep. They just like set us up and just had us answer questions that she had come up with. And for some reason, the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger popped into my head when they started asking me questions. So I started talking about the movie Predator, and that ended up being one of my improvs that made it into the movie. And I was just like kind of shocked that of all the improv we did, that was the one that they picked.
That's amazing. And there's a Predator poster right here.
Oh yeah, incredible movie. But that was really fun. Tina Fey was great. Billy Bob was great. I got to do improv with both of them, and that was a great experience.
Copy that. This next one here, this is a big one. I mean, this movie blew me away. I wasn't expecting it to be this good, but Sicario, man. Holy shit.
That's one of my all-time favorite gigs. That's another one. I would say The Guest and Sicario are the two movies that I watch. I happen to be in them, but I don't watch them because I'm in them. I watch them because they're just great films. They're films that I'm so privileged to have been a part of. I remember when you read for small roles, they don't really tell you much about it. So I read a small role with 2 lines, was told I got cast, and was invited to a rehearsal, which was very unusual. You don't usually get to go to rehearsals. And I walk in, and Denis, the director, was there. He had done Prisoners with Hugh Jackman, which was, critically acclaimed. I walk into that room. Denis is there. Josh Brolin is there. Emily Blunt is there. Benicio del Toro is there. I look over. Roger Deakins, the best living cinematographer, arguably in the world, is sort of looking around at the lighting and everything. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Oh God. Like it was such an exciting experience. And the sort of funny part about that one is that the on-set photographer, we rehearsed that day and then we filmed the next day. Yeah. And they had a publicist there and a photographer taking publicity stills. And there's one shot, the one you just pulled up, where I'm sitting at a computer. Yeah. So, and Emily Blunt is, I think, on the other side of Josh there. And that ended up being the photo that they used to promote the movie all over the world. I think it's on the back of the Blu-ray.
Oh, no shit.
And so it looks like I'm like one of the lead guys in the movie. I had people from high school like seeing that photo and being like, hey, congratulations, you finally made it. And I'm like, look, I have two lines. I'm in that movie for like 30
Yeah.
seconds. I'm grateful
Yeah.
I was in the movie, but
Yeah.
don't base where my career is off of this one picture. That was just a right time, right place kind of thing.
Yeah, but still awesome. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
awesome to be a part of this movie. I mean,
So honored
man.
because it's such an iconic film. It's such a
Oh yeah,
beautifully acted, written, directed. It's such an incredible film.
Benicio's best role, do you think?
Arguably one of his best. I mean, there's so many to choose
Top
from,
5,
but
yeah.
yeah, his role in that film is so powerful. Like the things that he does in that, and I only got to see a small bit of it on set, but when I saw the film, I was just blown away.
Copy that. Copy that. All right, we're almost there, guys. We're gonna
All
get
right.
to it.
What do we got?
It's got killer in the title, similar to Cop versus Killer.
Okay.
Killer Cafe.
Aha.
It's a project coming out really soon that you're a part of.
Yes.
Talk about this. I know you can't spoil anything, but give us a little bit of a. Can you at least tell us a brief plot synopsis?
Yes. It's a. Let's see. I wonder if I'm allowed. I feel like I should be allowed to say the premise because.
Would you like me to read it on IMDb? Is there a plot synopsis?
Go ahead and read that, and then I need to fill in anything.
Okay. All right, give me a second here.
I'm not sure what they're telling people.
Hey, if it's on IMDb, it's out there, so it's
Right.
not your fault. All right, hold on. Give me a second. Killer Cafe. I love the title already.
Yeah, it's written and directed by Keith Jardine,
Yes.
UFC legend.
Yeah.
Keith Jardine.
Yeah, and I love seeing him in movies.
Yeah,
I think he was on the Punisher show. I think you'll see him in fights and action movies and stuff.
Yeah, you see him pop up. He was in Bird Box. He was in Inherent Vice. He pops up in all kinds of stuff. He's done a great job as an actor. Tate Fletcher is also in the movie. Tate has been killed by Tate has been killed by The Equalizer, John Wick. He's been killed by everybody. So there's a bunch of incredible actors in this film.
And it's written by Keith as well.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Great script.
Here's the plot synopsis.
All right. What do we got?
A serial killer on the run finds himself trapped in an inescapable situation. At first, enthralled by the challenge, as time passes, the killer's psyche starts to unravel. So there we go.
That is a very carefully phrased.
Don't spoil
I
it.
want to say so much more, and I bet they would kick me if I said anything. I'm going to keep my mouth shut about what it is, but it's a very intriguing premise.
Okay.
It's a very fun movie. It has a lot of thrills, a lot of jokes, a lot of drama in it. And we just filmed that right before Christmas, and that was an absolute blast.
Copy that. I'll have to be on the lookout for Killer Cafe, baby.
If you're a fan of the show Roswell, Brendan and Mahendra, who are the leads in that show Roswell, are the leads in this film as well.
Oh, all right. Oh, really quickly, back to The Guest. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine usually has movie night with his family. They watch all kinds of stuff, horror movies, action, and all this stuff. And he's like, he loves The Guest. He's like me. He loves that movie.
Oh, great.
And he wanted to show them that movie, and they didn't want to watch it. They were like, this looks stupid. What is this? They didn't want to watch it. They really didn't want to watch it. He really had to twist their arm.
Yep.
Right? After they got done watching it, they all loved it. Whole family loved it.
Good. See, I love that.
They were like, that was an amazing movie. Loved it.
That's
from
old
to young. Loved it.
That's something I didn't really realize about certain genre pictures too, is that particularly with thriller and horror genres, some people just decide, like, it's an interesting genre. It's an interesting genre because there are people who will watch every horror movie. And there are people who are like, I don't watch horror movies, period. Like, if they hear that it's a horror movie, they're already out. They don't even care if it gets great reviews. If it's a big hit, they're like, I don't watch those. Right. And so it's interesting that if you commit to that genre as a filmmaker, you have to get over that hurdle of like, hey, some people are just, as soon as they hear horror, they're going to be like, I don't watch those. And then you have to kind of like be like, yeah, but like this one is good. It's interesting because whatever, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I knew it was something. I was like, I got to tell them.
That's awesome.
I got you here. Yeah, they loved it, man. They absolutely loved it. But now, Cop versus Killer. Before we play the trailer, my friend, how did this project come about? Is this something you always wanted to write?
Yes. This is a project. Do you want me to talk over it as you're pulling this up?
Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and play the trailer now. Here we go, baby. Great. Cop versus killer. Everybody watching.
Check it out.
Enjoy.
Lucy, can you come here for a minute, please? Where's the gift?
I thought we were doing this tonight.
You're going to be late.
How do you know?
Because you're always late.
How am I supposed to pull a trailer without a truck to pull a trailer?
You can't live at the rest stop. You stop, you rest, and then you go. Everybody knows this.
I always burn. I didn't know it was against the law.
You're not supposed to tell me that.
Well, I burn trash, I burn wood, I burn brush. Por años, every year I burn.
Afternoon, sir. You know why I pulled you over? You were driving erratically back there by the rest stop, and I noticed you got no rear license plate. Did you know that? Sir, can you hear me okay?
I was looking for you.
You were looking for me. What does that mean? Did you call the police? Sheriff's Department?
I think I will be you.
Step out of the car, sir. No, sir! No!
A quiet day for summer travelers was shattered by bullets by a deranged gunman earlier today. In an unusual twist, authorities say the main suspect is Sheriff Bill Abrams. The suspect was seen wearing a sheriff's uniform and driving Abrams' car.
The hell? This is a big misunderstanding. If I could just make a phone call.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe we'll save them the trouble of arresting you.
You don't want to do that.
The hell I don't.
Notify SWAT. I'm heading the task force to apprehend the shooter.
We don't actually know if it's a sheriff that's committing these crimes.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
I'm not doing this. You're doing this.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh,
there
yeah.
It is.
Oh, yeah. That trailer and the movie, that scratched the action thriller itch, baby. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, man. I was like,
so
well, speaking of genre films,
Yeah.
boom, you got one right here, man.
Yeah,
sure.
that was the idea. You know, I wrote that movie a long time ago. Initially, I wrote it as a found footage movie, like a Blair Witch kind of a thing.
Yeah.
To try to, I was just trying to write something that I thought I could shoot with my friends, you know, something that was ultra low budget that I thought, well, we'll just go out here and even if we have kind of like, you know, bad cameras and stuff like that, if we do it as a found footage movie, then it won't matter.
Right.
And so that script was around for years, and you know, it almost got made a couple times, it almost got bought a couple times, but it just kept not happening. And then you know, a couple of years ago, a friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, I've got a little bit of money, and I think I know somebody else who has a little bit of money. So if you're willing to make this on a really low budget, you know, you can get it made." And so I just sort of had this now or never feeling. So I sat down, I read the script, and I thought, okay, I'm going to throw out the found footage thing because I feel like that's kind of limiting. It's kind of gone out of style. I said, I'm just going to write it as a movie. I'm going to rewrite it as a movie, rewrote it. And it's interesting. After years and years and years of not being able to get the movie made, from the moment we had the conversation that there might be some financing to the moment we were shooting was 8 weeks. Like the whole thing came together in 2 months, like all of a sudden. And it was really the decision. It was just like a little bit of money that we needed and the decision to just make the movie and just be like, you know, I just realized like, gosh, I've been saying for 10 years that I'm going to make this movie and I keep not making it. So like, let's do it. Let's make the movie.
Let's fucking go. That's right.
Yeah.
And Reddit Clips Films, you beat me to the punch. You beat me to it, but I'm going to show it. He goes, badass. Looks like Silent Rage meets The Hitcher with John Carpenter vibes.
Yes. Okay. So The Hitcher is definitely the specific. Now we're talking the original Hitcher. We're talking the Rutger Hauer.
Hell
Hitcher.
Yes.
That movie is actually a movie that I asked Seth, the cinematographer, if he had ever seen, and he said no. And I said, you got to watch that movie as a visual reference and as a reference in tone to what I'm going for. Because, you know, with a lot of horror movies, one of the sort of staples of the genre is that a lot of them happen at night. And so you kind of are like, you know, you're playing with the dark, you're playing with the shadows and things like that. Yes. But at least half of our movie was going to happen during the day. And so I said, you know, one of the great things about The Hitcher is about half of that movie happens during the day. And it's like, well, okay, so how do you make things scary when it's broad daylight out? But if you go and watch that, even in the scenes where it's broad daylight out, if a character is sitting in the back of a car, there's all this shadow on their face, and they've put a ton of diffusion, and they're on a long lens. So like everything is all the background's really out of focus, and there's a lot of contrast in the image. I was just, you know, we sort of picked apart the visual motifs in that movie and was like, why does this work? Why is this so unsettling? Why is this so dark? Even though we're literally looking at a scene that's happening in broad daylight in the middle of the desert, it still feels creepy. How do you do that in the middle of the day? And so that was something we took a lot of visual cues from, is like, okay, this is the type of thing we're going for.
Yeah, and you nailed it. You definitely nailed it. I was thinking of that Silent Rage, The Hero and the Terror. I was thinking about all those kind of movies. But yeah, you got more positive feedback here. Looking awesome. That's right. They loved the trailer. Michael was going on. He says, that was awesome.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad they liked the trailer. That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's keep it going here. So yeah, he said 8 weeks.
Yeah, we had 8 weeks. We shot that whole movie in 10 days. And we had no choice. I would have loved. I had actually, when I had finished the rewrite, the most recent rewrite, I was like, we need 20 days or we can't possibly shoot this movie. And then the money that we raised, we could only afford to pay the cast and crew for 10. Right. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're shooting it in 10 then, because like this movie's never going to happen unless I just shoot it. So we took a version of what I had on the page and crammed it into that 10-day schedule. Ended up doing a bunch of second unit stuff, months later, trying to like fill in scenes and, get our establishing shots and create special effects and stuff like that. Yeah. But still like a real shoestring approach. And I'm amazed at what we got away with.
Well, it's pretty impressive for 10-day shoot. I mean, that's pretty impressive, man. We're done.
So lucky. We're so like, and every day, I tell people working on that movie every single day, the schedule was so tight and there were so many things. Like every single day started with some sort of disaster.
Oh, wow.
That threatened to shut down the entire film every single day. And so when I would get back to the hotel at night, I would go into my hotel room and to an empty room, because my girlfriend was producing and she was usually out fixing a problem or putting out a fire someplace. I would get back to the hotel room. I would have the room myself for a second, and I would just go, 9 more days.
Right.
8 more days, 7 more days. Every day that I got back, I was like, okay, because if we lost one day, we were not going to finish that film, because the schedule was already so unreasonable and there was so little money that if we had a bad weather day or if somebody got hurt or whatever, I was like, we literally cannot afford to lose even one day on the schedule. So it was a miracle that we finished. A miracle.
Copy that. It reminds me when I interviewed Bao Tran about the Paper Tigers, and he talked about the rooftop fight finale.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I
and
wasn't
how
there for that.
How that didn't happen. That almost didn't happen because of the weather.
Yep.
And then they wouldn't have had no fight. That was the last day of shooting. That's it. No finale fight.
The pinnacle of the entire movie, like where the heroes come together to fight the villain, and it's like the most important moment in the movie. And they were in this terrible position of like fighting the weather and trying to find the right location and all this other stuff. So like, I sympathize with him 100 times more now, having been through it as a director. And just being at the mercy of all of the elements that there was actually a scene. I won't spoil what happens in the scene, but there's a pivotal scene that happens later in the movie inside the police station, and that scene was supposed to happen outside. It was supposed to happen centered around a cop car. My character was going to be locked inside a cop car, and I was going to be in a state of peril, and there was going to be all this stuff happening. And a massive windstorm came up, and it was like blowing over trees and knocking out power and stuff. And I looked outside and I was like, if we try to shoot this scene outside, we're going to be fighting the elements the whole night. And we're going to waste all this time just trying to keep all the equipment from tipping over.
Yeah.
We're not going to get the footage we need. And it was one of the performers' last days on set. We had to wrap Zeta Zhang, my deputy, we had to wrap her that day. So immediately I went to the actors and the cinematographer and the crew and said, okay, new plan. See how everything says here, this is outside. Take all the action that happens in this scene. Now it happens in the police station because we can't shoot outside tonight. And actually it worked out great. It actually improved the scene, in my opinion. But that's the kind of stuff that you're dealing with as a director every single day on an independent film, is that you're running out of time every single day, and you're having to change creative choices based on things that have nothing to do with creativity, where you're just like, okay, like day one, the day before we started, we lost our location. We lost the first location of the day. And so we had to scramble and find a new location for day one. Like, we're 24 hours away from filming and we have nowhere to film. Like, we're getting ready to make the call sheets and we don't have an address to put on the call sheets because we just lost the location. Man. So every single day there was something like that threatened to shut down the entire production. Yeah. And every single day we came up with a solution. And now I know, going into, as I make more movies, I'm going to expect that. I'm going to be like, okay, there's what I have on the page.
Right.
And then there's what is actually going to happen when we get there.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I got to give the shout out here to Mr. Kevin Conan Bankins.
Yes.
I got to give him the shout out because, Kevin, brother, you killed it. Literally. You killed it in the movie.
He did an amazing job.
What is it about some movies where you don't really know the backstory? You don't really know that much about the antagonist.
Yep.
But that's what makes him more scary.
Yep.
And that's, in this movie, definitely it wasn't needed. We didn't need this huge long backstory, about his character. It wasn't really
and I've
needed.
got an interesting story about what you do learn about, because in the draft that I was going to shoot, there was even less information about him. And at one point, Lou Ferrigno was going to play the killer.
No way.
Yeah, we got the script to him. He loved it. I had a meeting with him. He was very excited about the role. He thought it would be a good time. But his note was that he, as an actor, he wanted more to do. He said, I don't say a lot in this movie. I would like more. He's like, tell me why this guy does what he does, where he's from, all this stuff. So I wrote a bunch more that was not in the draft that he had read.
Right.
And then, due to scheduling conflicts, he had to drop out. And so I went to my buddy Kevin, who is a trained fighter, trained weapons expert, and someone I had cast in a couple short films, and said, hey, you're my villain in my movie. If you want it, you're like, and I can't imagine anybody else having played the role. He did it so perfectly. And honestly, when we got to the scenes where I had written a bunch of extra stuff. I didn't know if it would be too much for Kevin because hadn't done a ton of big roles, really no big roles in film. So I went to him and said, hey, if this is too much dialogue, I can just cut it. We don't need to do any of this. And he said, oh, no. I've been working on this. He's like, I'd like to give it a try. And every time he had a bunch of dialogue, he just nailed it. He had
slaughtered it.
He was perfect. He was perfect for it. And so he elevated that character and elevated the movie by being just such a great surprise.
For sure. Chat's also someone in chat also said it has the Duel vibes.
Oh man, that's another one I watched. So that's again the desert thriller. So we talked about subgenres, right? So like that's another subgenre of horror movies because the desert thriller is very, very specific. A lot of the excitement happens outside. A lot of it usually happens during the day. A lot of it tends to cover a lot of geographic space, the desert thrillers tend to be road movies, or at very least, if it's a movie like Tremors, it tends to span a large geographic area. So I was looking at that genre saying like, okay, I've written a desert thriller. How do I make it like the desert thrillers that I love? Because that's a very specific genre. And Duel was another one that I did a bunch of research on. I didn't just rewatch the movie, but I read about how Spielberg made it and how he managed to do such an unreasonable production schedule in such a short period of time. I remember reading one thing that he did in order to get as many driving shots as he could. He would station like 5 or 6 cameras on the road, like half a mile apart, so that when they would do a drive-by, they weren't just getting 1 or 2 angles. They would get 5 or 6 in 5 or 6 different landscapes, so they could cover a ton of ground. So they were gathering a ton of driving shots every single take. So they would drive 3 miles, but they get like 6 or 7 shots out of one pass. And so I was reading everything that he did in order to make such an unreasonable production schedule fit into make a movie, a desert thriller fit into such an unreasonable production schedule, and took a lot of notes from that.
Oh, wow. Nice. Have you seen the film Road Games?
I have not seen Road Games.
That's another one for the list.
Okay. Road Games. Okay.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis has a small part in that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But Road Games is good, man. It's out there in the Australian outback. And a trucker's out there just to deliver some goods. And I will not spoil anything else. But yeah, back to Kevin.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. Can you see me?
Samurai's gone. Am I still
gone?
On? Oh, is it my connection or his?
Let's see. Huh. I feel like I'm here. That's weird.
I don't know. Maybe we're both not on.
That's weird. Chat, can you see me and Matt? Let's see here. There we go. Let us know, chat, if you can see us. Okay. So Matt, let's see. Matt's probably bounced out to bounce back in. Okay. That's what happens when you go live. All right. Let me see. Okay. Oh, you see both of us. Okay. All right.
Are we back?
And we're back, baby. Yeah. That happens.
We're back.
This is what happens when you go live.
I am also you're gonna lose me though here in a few minutes because I got another thing I got to shoot here in a little bit. But
okay.
I'm having a blast. I want to be on here all day.
Oh yeah, man. It's great to have you here. But yeah, let's just keep. I'm just gonna play the trailer while you're talking here.
Yeah. Give me a couple more things to mention, and then we can
we can wrap it up.
Watch it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let's see what else. So we shot the movie very quickly. We had a great cast. There's a company called Triangle U Studios. They are based in Truth or Consequences. where we shot the movie. We shot it which is a great name for a town, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yeah.
We shot it down there. Jordan and Dan, who run Triangle U Studios, were instrumental in us getting that movie produced. They have a production studio down there. They invested in the film. They gave us use of their resources, and honestly, everybody down there was great. The town was so excited to have us there. They were so excited that we were making a movie. This is Rachel Michaela, who played the reporter in the film. Brilliant actress, very talented. She has her own comedic improv troupe.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you all of the anytime it went to the news reports, those were hilarious, man.
I'm so glad you like those.
It was giving me Paul Verhoeven movie vibes.
Oh, good. You know? That's
RoboCop,
that sort of Starship that like
Starship
RoboCop
Troopers,
or Starship Troopers kind of satirical kind of thing. Yeah. She's her and Jack Lutz, who played Gary the cameraman, did a great job. Jamie Bernadette, who is a scream queen and a brilliant actress. She plays my wife in the film. There's Joe Conway, who plays Todd Woodland, Master Ken's faithful assistant. Yeah. He did a great job. There was Chris Dempsey, who plays Lieutenant Steele. Zeta Zhang, professional wrestler. Very, very talented, funny. She's the most popular recurring guest on the Master Ken show. Her episodes have the most views. So I knew I had to get her in the movie. Yeah. Who else? There's Chris Casamassa, who plays Scorpion in the original Mortal Kombat movie. Yes. He makes an appearance in the film. He did a fantastic job. Him and Zakiya Hansen have a great scene in the movie.
I gotta get big shout out to Chris. I got to get him on the show in the future for sure.
Yeah, he's great. Now, he's a great guest.
Really quick, was it your idea or his idea to throw in that little Mortal Kombat Conquest joke?
That was his.
Nice, Chris.
He added that in, and I noticed it, and then he's like, "That's for the fans," and I was like, "Cool, I love it." I was like, "We're gonna leave it in."
Nice, Chris. Oh my goodness.
So the diner fight scene is one of the best. Shit. That's one of my most favorite moments in the entire film.
Oh, it's good shit, man. And I love the 80s vibe that the movie gives, especially with the amazing soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack really has that 80s vibe to it, man. It was great.
Yeah, so there's two things about the music. Megan Penning, my girlfriend, who's the producer on the film, she did all of the music that has lyrics in it that sound like pop songs.
Nice.
She's a musician as well. And then Sean Hettinger from Neon Moon Studios did all of the composing, all of the synthwave stuff, and their stuff works so well together. And I wasn't even sure too, because honestly, that was the decision I sort of committed to, thinking like, I don't even know if that music belongs in this movie, but I love that style. And so I was like, okay, I'm so glad that you say that, because people really comment on how much they love the music. And it was a big risk to commit to that style of music, not knowing if it was going to work. And in my opinion, it really does.
Well, it fits a genre film, so it's perfect.
That's what I wanted. So.
But there's some good stuff here. I love he gave you some really good hard elbows to the back. That was great. That looked real. That looked like that hurt.
That scene, we were so far behind that day. The day that we shot the diner, all of the things that happened in the diner in that movie were shot in one day. So we had day interior, day exterior, night interior, night exterior. We had fight scenes. We had dialogue, we had gunplay, we had background actors, we had weapon stuff, blood effects. And so by the time we got to the fight scene, which Kevin and I had rehearsed like crazy, we had about an hour to shoot the entire fight, because the crew was exhausted. And the DP even came to me and was like, I don't know if you might have to cut the fight scene, because I don't know if we have time.
Yeah.
And I said, here's what we're going to do. Start rolling. And we're going to do the whole fight scene all the way through. And then I just want you to keep rolling and change the angle, and we'll do it again. And then keep rolling, change the angle, we'll do it again. So we just ran the fight scene like 5 or 6 times straight through without stopping. And he just readjusted the angle each time. And that's what we ended up being to cut together. And we're so lucky that Kevin and I have been working together as martial artists for 15 years. So we have trained together, and toward the end of the fight, the last part of the fight, we're really just making stuff up. Like, he was just sort of throwing things at me, and I was kind of just reacting and just kind of hoping for the best. So it was great.
It worked. It was brutal.
It really does. We're
too.
so lucky. We're so lucky.
But it's not a real. Oh, that's a great shot right there. Look at that. Look at the lighting. Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's not a true genre flick unless you get the roundhouse kick in there, baby. That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I wish I had more time. And I really want to encourage anybody who's watching to you can buy or rent the movie on Amazon. You can, if you don't mind commercials, you can watch it on Tubi. It's out there on a bunch of platforms. And if you do watch the film, please, whether you like it or not, rate it and comment on it, because the more engagement we get, the more people see the film. So make sure to comment on it, rate it. You don't have to like it, but if you do like it, make some noise, share it with people, tell people about it, because we really want people to see this film, because we want to make more of them.
Yeah, and share this video. Get this video out there. Whatever
Absolutely.
helps
Let
promote
people
it.
know. Share this interview. Share this video. Let the world know.
Matt, it's an honor. This is your second home, brother. We got to get you back.
Thank you.
Matt. Don't go anywhere. But all you badasses, y'all know what you need to do. Check it out. Cop versus Killer. Amazon Prime, Tubi. Check it out. Keep watching movies. Support the genre films, action, martial arts, thrillers, and horror. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.